When first getting involved in music, it's completely understandable and even a little expected to start with the desire and the motivation to simply be good. I want to be good at guitar, I want to be good at singing, I want to be good at mixing, songwriting, whatever it is. And I'm not here to tell you that that's wrong or that you're bad for thinking that way. No, you are more than welcome to think like that if it genuinely helps you. I would, however, like to plead the case that such a mentality has a pretty big flaw with it, and it can actually be harmful to your music. The be good motivator is probably a good driver for the first bit, but you may quickly realize how vague and unhelpful that might be for you. And today, I'd like to touch on that by showing you how you can set specific goals for yourself without having to drastically change the image you have of where you want to go with this. Let's do this. Welcome back to Three Strings Music, where we celebrate growth together, both in music and in life. My name is Clayton Roberts, though most people call me Dewie. I'm really glad to have you with me today. We're doing things a little differently today. The last couple of weeks, I've been putting out presentation videos about specific theory concepts, and I still have plenty more to do. But I'm actually in the middle of packing right now because by the time this video gets posted, I will be in Seattle, which is very out of town for me. And because I have been on a bit of a time crunch, I thought this might be a good time for me to experiment with something else that I want to do on this channel. I have plenty of other theory presentations I'm going to give. That's going nowhere. But I also wanted to have some times whenever I give you a little bit more opinionated things, where I just get on my webcam and just talk about a specific thing, like music mentalities and whatnot. So I felt like today was a good time to try and kick that off and see how it goes. I'm actually pretty excited to try this out. And don't worry, I still have plenty of presentations to give. I'm just going to try and experiment with this for the next 2 to 3 weeks while things kind of mellow on my end. And of course, I'm still going to offer you my free guide, my free gift for you with this video. If you haven't checked it out already, it's my 30-minute music basics guide. It's something I put together with just bullet points, pictures, and sorts of things like that that you can use as a reference to get started in music. It has all sorts of terms, they're bullet points. It's really easy to digest, especially if you're getting started, and you can pick up all the information and run with it in 30 minutes or less. And it is completely free as my gift to you. All you have to do is just go to threestringsmusic.com/basics to get your hands on this. Again, that's the number 3stringsmusic.com/basics. In the intro video I made a couple of months ago, I highlighted how turning your how and your where questions into what and why questions can be really, really helpful, but I wanted to elaborate on that a little bit more. The truth is that there are a multitude of ways that can be approached, but at least for now, I wanted to focus more specifically on the goals that you set for yourself. So I guess consider this to be a bit more of a dive into the what part, while hopefully pleading the case that getting good is actually very limiting. When I work with clients who want to learn music, we usually have a call set up ahead of time where we just talk about their goals. What do they want? What do they want to learn? And if it's ever anything like, I want to get good at guitar, I want to get good at singing, etc., like I said, we usually try and expand on that a little bit. Like, okay, well, what does that mean to you? And so I'd like to share with you 5 reasons that I think the get good mentality can do a lot more harm than good for you. And as I said earlier, if you use the get good mentality I mentioned as a motivator and it's genuinely working for you, then hey, keep doing it. All I'm asking is just hear me out. So reason number 1, you might not allow yourself to simply enjoy the ride. And I know that may sound a little cheesy, but this is where that old quote, life's a journey and not a destination, I think that really shines through here. When I first started playing guitar back in 2007, I had no idea of anything I was doing. I didn't know what a power chord was. I didn't know what a major scale was. I was completely clueless, but I was really, really eager to get it going. And of course, there was plenty of times where I struggled and got really, really frustrated with how I was very much not getting good. I remember many instances where I would be playing a chord and it would be muted, it would sound ugly, and I see this happen a lot too, where people will play chords and then get mad as like, well, why does it sound so stuffy? Why can't I get a good grip, and why can't I let the strings ring out, and why are some getting muted? That's very common. And that was very much me when I first started, and it was very, very agonizing. Now, I can give plenty of other examples of the things I struggled with when I started, but the truth is, there's a lot that I won't get to experience for the first time again. And I know that may sound like a little silly or whatnot, but if all I was thinking about was getting good, getting good, getting good, then I don't think I would have appreciated the learning process as much as I do now. Reason number two, getting good and being successful are subjective. Those are things that are completely dependent on the individual and what they want, and that very much includes you. When I was coming up with the idea for this video, I started thinking of this really silly metaphor, so bear with me here because it may sound really, really good and exactly what you need to hear, or I could just sound like an idiot. By all means, let me know. Basically, the idea is making music is like a big restaurant that everybody is at. With this restaurant, there are many ways that you can get there. You can walk, you can ride a bike, you can drive, you can Uber, whatever else you can think of. But everyone has a different way of arriving at that restaurant. And not only that, when they're at the restaurant, they have different food that they want to eat. And when you go to a restaurant, you can eat as much or as little food as you want. There is no one way that you must order. Everyone will order the food that they want. Sometimes they may stick with their favorites. Sometimes they may want to try something new. But I don't think I've ever been to a restaurant where everyone orders the exact same thing because, much like with music, there is no one way to do this. And now, if you will let me dismount from that 10 out of 10 metaphor I set you up with, I can talk about something that's a little more less figurative. Like I said earlier, when it comes to defining success, it's all about what you as the individual want. Someone who measures their level of success by playing at sold out arenas has those visions, and that's what they want specifically, and that's totally fine. However, for every musician who wants to play in sold out arenas and have their name in lights, some people just like to play their instrument in their room just because it's fun. In my bedroom, I've just gotten my guitar and started randomly plucking away at chords with no visions of turning it into this amazing song that everyone's gonna know every single word to. And that's totally fine. But it's all gonna come down to what you as the individual see as successful. Reason number 3 is gonna be another quote: comparison is the thief of joy. Now, it is completely normal and encouraged to have specific musicians and songwriters that inspire you and who you draw a lot of that influence from. That's great. I am not coming down on that at all because I have my fair share of musicians that I love and admire. But if your goal is, I want to be as good as insert name here, then you set yourself up for 2 potential roadblocks. First one is that by doing so, you've built yourself this image that that is the only way that you can get good at what you do. If I say that I want to be the next Kurt Cobain with my songwriting, then I have to do everything the way he did it. And the second roadblock with that is if you set yourself up to be just as good as insert name here, then you may trap yourself into believing that anything short of that is a failure. And that's just not true. There's only one Kurt Cobain. There's only one Neil Peart. There's only one David Bowie, and so on and so forth. Don't set yourself up for such an impossible standard that's just going to leave you feeling worse. The fourth reason that I can give you is actually a bit more external rather than internal. If successful versus unsuccessful and good at an instrument versus bad at an instrument are so binary to you, then I think you risk invalidating other people's experiences. I touched on this earlier with the whole success is subjective thing, but if you trick yourself into thinking that there's only one way to do this, then you also risk bringing other people into that mentality and thus feeling like their experiences and what they've gone through have been invalidated, or that's also not good enough. And that's something I never want to be a part of. Everyone has their own origin story with music and how they got started and where they want to go. And mine is no better than yours, and mine is no better than someone who lives down the street from me. It doesn't matter. I am not going to get caught up in comparing myself to this vision that anything short of that is not okay. I'm not going to risk dragging other people down and putting them lower. And reason number 5, and this one is pretty important, There will always be somebody who disagrees. If your goal is, I want to be a great guitarist, or I want to be a great songwriter, or whatever it is, there is always going to be somebody who says, no, you're not. And that's something you got to remember. You are never going to please everybody, but thankfully, that's not what this is about. And if that's something that bothers you, I understand. But if it results in you clinging more and more to this desire to be great, or whatever it may be, then that's only going to make those kind of criticisms feel even worse. Even if I think you're an amazing guitarist or a great singer or whatever else, there's always going to be somebody who steps in and says, no, you're not. And finally, as a quick little bonus reason as to why I think getting good can be harmful, it just feels good to be able to cross things off of a to-do list. It's just really, really satisfying to be able to write things down on a list, like specific goals that you see, do this, do this, do this, and be able to cross them off one by one. It gives you a sense of satisfaction, and you can feel like you really are pushing that needle forward to where you want to be. And if you put be good on your list of goals, that's not really something you'll be able to cross off, because you'll always feel like you can be better, you can always improve, and that's true. Again, and I cannot stress this enough, I am not saying don't strive to be better and improve and get better at your craft. Absolutely. I'm just saying the better way to do that is by setting yourself specific goals along the way. And so far, I've talked a lot about what not to do, but now let's take a look at what this actually looks like. I've talked a big game about setting specific goals. Well, okay, let's do it. Now, the thing about that is that I personally cannot set your goals for you. It wouldn't be right of me to do it anyways, because it's your journey and you decide what you want out of this. I can't tell you what goals to write down for yourself, but I can give you some examples and at least get you thinking. Earlier, I talked about when I first started playing guitar and what that looked like. Well, if I were to look back on it and give myself this treatment of set goals for yourself, instead of, I want to get good at guitar, maybe it will look something like this. I want to be able to play my first lead solo without messing up. I want to properly be able to read guitar tabs and understand what they mean. To expand on that a bit further, I want to be able to look up any song online, look for the guitar tabs, know what they're talking about, and go and use that knowledge to play the song on my own with the tabs I got. That's actually something that I did a lot and still do. Or maybe instead of tabs, it's I want to be able to confidently restring my guitar without pricking myself. Good luck with that one. Another good example for guitar related, I'd probably tell myself, I want to be able to play power chords up and down the neck along to any song that I want. Or a big one, I want to play my first song all the way through without messing up. Or if you mess up along the way, so what? Play it again. Do you see how this can be helpful though? It's not about looking at the mountain off in the distance, it's about looking at the stones that you can step on to get to that mountain. Maybe your goal could be something along the lines of ear training, which is a very useful and very nice to have skill. Like, I want to be able to hear what power chords are being played in a rock song just by listening to it. And everything I have listed so far, while guitar specific, are all things that you can set goals for and work towards them. And as you do, you will improve and get better. For those that want to learn how to sing instead of play guitar, maybe a goal could be, I want to learn how to sing with proper form, singing from my diaphragm and feeling relaxed in doing so. Maybe another singing goal could be, there's a G note that is just outside of my range, and I want to improve my range so I can comfortably start hitting that G note. Another goal could be improving your enunciation whenever you sing lyrics. Another goal could be learning how effective breath control could be. If this is more of a performer thing, perform your first gig for the first time. For a while, it was a big goal of mine to play at a bar for the first time, and I was able to out in Milwaukee. I hope this is making sense, because I could go on and on and on about these different kind of goals that you could have. But again, it's not up to me, it's about what you want. I'm just here to give you suggestions and things that have helped me in the past. And to illustrate this further, I'd actually like to share with you a comment that my intro video got. If you've seen that video, it says at the end for you to tell a little bit about yourself and what your dreams are with music, and putting at the end of it, and I can do this. And I got some people to do that, and thank you very much. I heavily encourage anyone who sees it to do it. It's really heartwarming to see. But there is a specific comment I got that I wanted to highlight and take a look at. and apply what we've talked about today towards it. This is a comment I got a couple of days ago. Reads, "Hey yo, I'm Britt." Hi Britt. "I'm a 31-year-old artist from Minnesota." I love Minnesota. I've been up there a couple of times. It's absolutely gorgeous. "I am a 31-year-old artist from Minnesota that has been told my whole life that I have no musical talent, and I guess I believed it." Okay, I know I'm getting off topic here, but let me assure you, that right there is going to get its own video. Trust me on that one. I have plenty to say about people telling others that they don't have talent. But Dewie assured me that anyone could play music. You can. And so I'm here to learn. I have a ukulele collecting dust, and I want to learn to play it and stop being scared to try. Well, first off, Britt, thank you very, very much for that comment. And yes, you can do this. I want to highlight the last sentence of this comment. I have a ukulele collecting dust, and I want to learn to play it and stop being scared to try. If you ask me, I think those are two pretty good starts to setting goals for yourself. I will admit, I want to learn to play is still a bit vague, but that's okay. It's up to Britt to decide what that looks like. Are there certain chords that they want to learn? Are there certain songs that they want to learn? It really depends on what they as an individual want. But I really, really like that next one. The goal, stop being scared to try. That is good. I really, really like that one. Is it the most specific goal you could write down? No, of course not. But you know what? That is something I think you could cross off on a list if you wrote it down. If Britt one day decides to sit down with their ukulele and thinks to themselves, you know, I've been at this for a while, and I like to think that I have a good idea of what I'm doing now. Am I one of the greatest ukulele players ever? No, probably not, but I don't have to be. The point is that I am now in a better place than I was whenever I started. I'm no longer scared to try because one, you're no longer scared, and two, you're not trying, you're doing it. And with that being said, Britt, I wish you the absolute best of luck with learning that ukulele. I know you can do it. So, in an effort to try and wrap this up, I hope I have at least got you thinking about this idea of setting goals instead of just, I want to be good. Because don't forget, as you set these goals and as you meet them, you will get better. And something in regards to earlier, when I mentioned that there will always be someone who disagrees and says, no, you're not, if you want to be a good guitarist or whatever, when you set specific goals for things that you accomplish, you actually take that power away from them. For example, if my goal was, I want to be able to play my first song all the way through without stopping, and you do it, and you succeed in that, they can't say, no, you didn't. Well, yes, you did. You were there, and you know that you did it. Did you miss some notes along the way? Maybe, but who cares? Play it again. Setting goals like that can be really, really nice and boost your confidence a lot because they can be things that nobody else can take away, much like that example I gave you earlier. And as I said, my goal was once to play my first show at a bar, and I did so in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And there's nobody who can say, no, you didn't. Yes, I did. I crossed that off the list, and I did it. Now, I'm going to stop myself before I keep going and going and going for another 50 minutes because I do have to start packing. But in an effort to leave you with some final thoughts, I would actually like for you to get out a piece of paper or whatever and write down some goals for yourself. You don't have to come up with everything. You don't have to come up with 20 things. I want you to just get yourself thinking. That's the point. Because the truth of the matter is, you are not going to have your grand master plan laid out in one sitting. That's not how it works. There's always going to be things that change, be things that are outside of your control, or you may change your mind about what you want. And you know what? That's totally fine. You need to give yourself that freedom to do so. You need to give yourself the freedom and the grace to do so. And if you want to share with us any of the goals that you got from this video, please leave a comment below. I'd love to see them. Put whatever you want, just like the intro video with Britt. If this video inspired some goals of yours, share them. I'd love to hear what you guys say. I'd love to hear your thoughts on my thoughts. If you agree with me, great. If I helped you, wonderful. If you think I'm an idiot and I'm wrong, I'd love to hear it. I just hope that I at least got you thinking and gave you a little bit of encouragement. And that's what I want for you. The greatest weapon that you can have in planning out your journey is clarity. Clarity of what you want. And be honest with me, but especially be honest with yourself. How clear is I want to get good? Thank you very much for humoring me on this. I hope you found it helpful. Doing opinionated things like this was a bit of a test, but I'd love to hear what you think. Do you like it? Do you want me to do more? I'd be more than happy to once I get back from Seattle. And one more time, don't forget the guide I mentioned at the beginning of this video. If you are wanting to get a little bit more clarity on things like understanding how scales work, how scale degrees work, chords, and whatnot, you can find a lot of that in the 30-minute Music Basics guide, and it's completely free. All you got to do is just go to 3stringsmusic.com/basics. Again, that's the number 3stringsmusic.com/basics. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you when I get back from Seattle. In the meantime, take care of yourself, have a great day, and go write some goals.